Is there the usual excitement ahead of the Premier League season?
Yeah, we've had a very good pre-season and obviously a lot of travel, but been delighted with the response to the players and coming back, and they're really looking forward, to the start of the season.
As happy as I'm sure you probably are with the business that you've done in terms of bringing players in, is there a certain degree of pressure now on not only those players but yourself to deliver?
I think there's always been that. I think when I came to here, there's no difference in terms of the pressure. It's a club that's under huge scrutiny, of course, and that's been the case since the first day I've come in. So that pressure doesn't change. The players, of course, that have come in, they're all good players. In the times that I've been here, the players that we've brought in, they're all top players. It's obviously adapting and coping with the demands of such a huge club. So that's something that, the players that we have brought in have got. Some of them got good experience, some of them adapted to the Premier League, and from what I've seen so far over the course of the pre-season, that I'm really excited about how they're going to bed in and help the team going forward this season.
Inevitably there will be quite a focus on Christian Benteke for various reasons. The fact that he got to try and score the goals here, I thought was pretty disappointing in terms of his last season. The fee, the history of strikers here at Liverpool, these words that he supposedly had with his former manager, you must be convinced that, especially given this goal he scored the other week, he is a modern day footballer. He's not just a header from crosses.
No, I think that he's the type of player that fits perfectly for us. I think that I've seen him close hand, on the touchline since he's come into the Premier League. I've watched him, like I said, as an opponent, and I've watched him when I've been scouting and looking at games. And for me, he's got massive potential. There's still a lot of room for improvement for him, but for me, he can play in any type of game. I think you see his qualities. He's 6'4", and of course, when you're that big and that strong, and you see how he takes in the ball, and obviously tactically, maybe he played in a different type of game where it was maybe direct and the ball went up to him, but he showed he can cope in that. He can play the power game, he can play the strength game. But I think what will surprise a lot of people is the quality of his football. His movement's really clever. He can penetrate the space in behind. He can link the game up. And like as I said, what we've seen already, and particularly close hand, these types of movements, the different types of goals that he scores with his feet. And so for me, he's going to be a huge player for us. And as I said, at 24, still has a lot of developments to make.
In terms of your possible outgoings, is there any updates on the likes of Barini or Enrique or Balotelli?
Nothing on that, no.
Does Mario have a future at Liverpool?
In terms of the players that are here, obviously we've worked with the squad over the course of the pre-season. Every player knows exactly where they stand in relation to the squad, and it's unfair, I think, to talk about any individual player. Collectively we're working very hard for the first game of the season, and like as I said, any conversation that I've had with any player will be private.
Chris, you obviously want to review the team ahead of Sunday, but have you settled on it yourself because you've had a chance to look at everyone after the two friendlies last weekend?
Yeah, it's been a good pre-season. So the players have worked very hard. It's been great to see the boys that come in a bit later. They've been at a good level of fitness. Been exciting watching Firmino in around in the group, and obviously Emery come back, and young Phil. So like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, one or two of the players won't be at top speed yet because they've come back later. But it's a long season, and we're preparing not just for the first game, but over the course of the season.
For Sunday, though, how different a prospect is Stoke now? They're obviously they've changed their style over the last couple of years. They've signed quite a few players themselves this summer. And how will you adapt your team to their challenge?
Well, we'll certainly be better than what we were last year. That's for sure. That was a one-off game in terms of the whole experience. It was incredible in every aspect of football, and high-class football. We lacked in everything. So something that was very surprising and obviously very, very disappointing. So for us, we'll look to return to the levels that we've had over a couple of seasons here in terms of organisation and fight, and then obviously you add the talent to that, and it gives us a chance to win a game. In terms of Stoke, it's always a difficult place to go. Mark's done an excellent job there in the time he's been there. So we know it'll be a tough game, but it'll certainly be tougher for them than what it was last year.
2 seasons ago when you went so close to win the league, 4 players reached double figures in terms of goals. Do you think there's scope for that this season with the talent that brought in the summer?
That was the idea. That was one thing that was lacking last season for us. I think the goals record, we were away down, but it's a collective effort. We know we have to be better, and all across the field in terms of goals. But of course, you bring in players that have that ability to create and score goals, then that can help us for sure.
Brendan, a few of your players have said that they feel that you owe the fans a result after the final game of last season. Do you agree?
100%. It was a score like that should never happen, but sometimes it does. But it's more the way in which the performance, that was what disappointed. So we've had plenty of time to reflect on that. But it's certainly a game where we need to deal with them for sure.
You've made plenty of changes this summer. Do you feel you've done enough to be closer to that top 4 and perhaps challenge for the title this year?
Well, our idea, firstly, is to arrive in the top 4. I think that's the first objective. We set that and we achieved that a couple of seasons ago. Last year we disappointed over the course of the season in that aspect. But this season we'll look to put up a greater fight, and that's why you work at a club like Liverpool. You know, you want to be competing right at the very top of the league. But for us, certainly the goal will be to arrive firstly for the top 4 and then see where we go from there.
You've got a couple of teams that will be challenging for those top 4 positions in the first 5 games, I think. How important is it for you to have a good start?
It's very important. I've always said I think the first 8 games are vital for you. So for us, a good start will be important. As the challenge is as great as it's ever been for places in the Premier League. So, but we'll certainly be looking to fight and looking to make a good start.
Brendan, you talk about the reflections on that game on the last day of the season. Was it just surreal to watch it unfold for you?
We stood there, it wasn't comfortable, that's for sure. It was, we'd obviously disappointed over the course of the season, and you always aim to go out as you mean to start the next season. We certainly didn't mean to start the way we did there. It was just overall, it was, like I said, it was a unique game. It was something that, whether it was when we lost the FA Cup final, whether it was a subconscious mind where the season was dead, but it should never be the case, whatever the excuse, because you're fighting for people who live their lives for the football club, and that was something that, as I said, we all knew it was unacceptable, and whatever stick we got for it, we thoroughly deserved that, because it shouldn't happen. But as I said, the reaction over the course of the summer has been terrific, and now it gives us a real motivation now to start the season well, and for us, you know, when the fixture came out, I felt we couldn't have had a better fixture. If I was being honest, I think lots of people have looked at it as the game to go back. Should have we had it later? For me, it was the perfect fixture to go away to Stoke, and I was happy when that came.
And do you feel that motivation, that appetite then going into this weekend, should you win, will divert attention? You talk about pressure and scrutiny, but will divert that attention elsewhere?
No, it's always here. You know, whether you're doing good, bad or indifferent, it doesn't matter. When you play at Liverpool or you manage Liverpool, the scrutiny is there for you. You're judged on the performance level, and for us, we want to make that as consistent as we can, and as I said, and excite the supporters again.
And if I just have a quick one on Joel, is there any update on his fitness, his progress with this injury?
Yeah, we'll probably miss 3 to 4 weeks, which was disappointing. So he certainly won't be available for the weekend.
Brendan, as painful as the final day of the campaign defeat was at Stoke, in some ways did it completely focus you on saying there's got to be radical change in this summer. If we're going to improve this football team and the club, then this is what we need, and then go on and speak to the owners and the chief executive about fact evidence that more is needed. Was that something that helped to sharpen things up in your mind?
Yeah, it shouldn't have needed that, but certainly at the end of that, there was a thought process before that game and going into that game, so it wasn't just on the back end of that result. You know, I felt that, you know, we needed to change, and when you're a manager and leading a team and a club that you want to be at for a long period of time, there's going to be change, and you have to make the decisions for that. And some are uncomfortable, some are difficult, you know, both professionally and morally. But you feel that, you know, for us, we needed change, and that's what took place over the course of the summer. And I think what it's done is, as I said, it's sort of galvanised the group again, and with the new players and that coming in, obviously with 3 new coaches coming in, it's all working well so far. So, but we definitely needed it. We couldn't, you know, you can't perform like we did towards the end of last season and at the beginning of the season if you're going to compete and be a top club. So, you know, you're going to make changes in the summer. Most teams will make changes. We don't ideally want to make so many. So hopefully going forward we can stabilise it, a lot of young players, and develop them to go on and perform consistently.
You spent a lot of money transfer-wise during the summer, and some what looked to be some fabulously exciting signings that have cost a fair bit of cash. One of the key ones hasn't cost anything transfer-wise. James Milner, how important is he going to be to this new Liverpool? Because he's one of those players you rarely see him get less than 7 out of 10 in terms of what he does on the pitch, and he's going to be key for it, isn't he?
Yeah, I think that he's someone that I admired from the outside for a long time. You know, if you think he's played at this level since he was 16 years of age, and gone around and played for some fantastic clubs, but went to Man City and done a great job. And when there was a possibility that he was going to be available, then obviously you're surprised, but you're hoping that maybe you could get him to come to your club, because he's the type of player that he gives everything. You know, for me, his talent, his actual football talent, has probably gone under the radar because he's been played around some outstanding talents. But this is a guy who works tirelessly at his game. You know, he's in here 7:45 in the morning, making sure that he's prepared for his training, getting all his, you know, food supplements, getting everything correct before training. So he's in 2.5 hours before he trains, and he does his work, gives his maximum in his work, you know, and as I said, he prepares himself like an elite player should. But he's also got big character and a big mentality, and I felt that we needed that in the team, to the extent where he will be the vice captain this year. You know, he's come into the club. I wanted to assess and look over the course of it. Jordan obviously has been appointed the captain, but I think he'll be a great ally for him, because, as I said, he leads by example. James, and like I said, a wonderful footballer, but got big personality in the dressing room as well.
Steve, and you mentioned obviously you've given Jordan the captaincy. How have you felt he's reacted to that? And you know, he's still a young character, but he showed last season he's got a lot of quality to do that.
Yeah, I think he's got, and as he, you know, becomes comfortable in the role, that'll progress. You know, I think his leadership, you know, you see it on the field. He's very dynamic, you know, and he leads by example. And off the field, he's been absolutely outstanding. You know, he's been a wonderful ambassador. It's his first sort of summer on tour and taken on that mantra of the captain, and he's done it fantastically well. So, so for him, it's a new experience, of course, but one that he's really relishing and he's thriving under.
And you touched on it then. I mean, James can really enhance that as well. I mean, they'll be working closely together in the midfield, but the winning mentality that James brings, the experience that he's got as well, that can rub off through Jordan as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll rub off on the rest of the team. You know, I've already seen that from early on. His commitment, his qualities, and the training field, how dynamic he is, and you know how demanding he is of other players as well. So, so no, I think that in terms of the captain, the vice captaincy, can work really well for us.
Bill, yeah. Brandon, can you just get the rest of the team news from John's injury? Any other players unavailable? Storage, Flanagan?
Well, the great news with John is that John's working really well. He's on target to come back just before Christmas, so which will be great news for the squad. Daniel will hopefully be back, you know, towards the beginning of September. He's working very hard. And then apart from that, obviously Joe, who'll be out for 3-4 weeks.
And all the new players sort of in line to potentially make the team?
Well, they're in line to be in the squad.